You can literally be born into Hollywood royalty and still have a man ruin your life. I do not keep track of this couple. They show up in my newsfeed regardless. And so today I saw a story about this dude and how, he's in rehab and whatever. They're getting divorced. And I don't know, ADHD brain, whatever. I went into like a rabbit hole. And this couple, they perfectly, all the things that I talk about all the time comes up with this couple. And the reason why I want to bring this example is because you can literally just be set up to soar as a woman, and it takes one bad decision and you lose everything. So for people who don't know this is Tori Spelling. I'm a Gen Xer. The only reason why I really know who this person is because I watched 90210, Beverly Hills 90210. I haven't watched anything since. She's a reality TV star now, blah, blah, blah. Honestly, I don't know if she really have time for anything else because this man gave her 5 kids. Another example, men like this love to have lots of babies, but don't ever plan on raising those children. But let's go backwards for a second. So for anybody who does not know who Tori Spelling's father is, this is Aaron Spelling. If you're not a Gen X or an elder millennial, you may not know what all this is, but Charlie's Angels, Love Boat, Beverly Hills 90210, all this stuff. I didn't realize that he was also a part of Seventh Heaven, which is like, bleh. Spelling holds the record as the most prolific television producer in U.S. television history with 218 producer and executive producer credits. This was maybe one of the most powerful men in Hollywood before he died. And like most Hollywood men, he liked to date younger women. When he was 42, he dated a 19-year-old. And then his wife, Candy, who is Tori Spelling's mother, was when he was 45, she was 23. Whatever. Do with that information what you will. Just showing patterns, Rich men love going after teenagers. Now, y'all know, I actually used to work with nepo babies in Hollywood. I would teach them outdoor stuff, canoeing, climbing, blah, blah, blah. I would take them on backpacking trips and stuff. And me and all my coworkers lived in our cars while we were doing that because that line of work doesn't pay much. So I'm very familiar with like the famous child world, or at least the famous children with famous parents. Rich people's world is insane. I never really understood just how much so many of these parents don't love their kids until working with these kids. Some of these kids were a pain in the butt. Some of them were like really great kids, probably because they were being raised by their nannies. Anyway, so Tori was like, she actually acknowledges that her childhood was ridiculous. She was so privileged that her father had snow brought to their yard for a white Christmas, even though they lived in LA and it was 80 degrees outside. She was embarrassed to show people her house, and they made fun of how lavish it was. Now, her friends are rich. If your rich friends are making fun of how big your house is, it's hard to feel sorry for, poor little rich girl. So I'm definitely not like, oh, nepo babies have a hard life. But it's just fascinating to me how miserable people with so much money are. Like, you literally are set up to thrive. You still hate everything. She even joked, I get exhausted very easily walking through that house. It was just, phew! Just taking the elevator up to the second floor was just too much to handle. Like, she's joking in this, but it's like, oh my God. All they ever did was hang out in the kitchen, the office, her parents' bedroom, and their own bedrooms. In a house with 123 rooms. 14 bedrooms, 27 bathrooms, a bowling alley, a gift wrapping room, a nightclub, a barber shop, and a museum for her mom's expansive dog collection. 20 staff members who waited on her hand and foot. Second largest home in LA. That's saying a lot, y'all. There was apparently a whole wing just for the staff. This part I find interesting because I don't think we talk enough about like emotional incest. I think a lot of toxic boy moms, it's that. I don't think a lot of women want to admit that. But, if you're obsessed with your little boy or jealous of his girlfriend, there's a word for that. Anyway, it sounds like maybe there was something really unhealthy going on between her and dad. And I don't mean he was like doing anything, but what I will say is a lot of times men, they'll treat their daughters better than their wives. And then, so their wives end up hating their own daughters. So Tori says that her father doted on her, and it seems his love for his daughter may have driven something of a wedge between the mother. As she wrote about how her father would tell her that he loved her more than anything in the world. I love you more than your mommy. Like, that is so messed up, y'all. So when Tori was young, when she decided she wanted to become an actor, so her dad paid for private acting lessons, blah, blah, blah. Because he's the most powerful man in Hollywood, he, got her on small parts on shows. Her part on 90210 was not supposed to be that big. Like, he told them, give her, a small role, and then she ended up becoming one of the main characters. 10 seasons, y'all. That show was wildly popular. And so she became successful because of that show. And then she basically started making her own money, and basically her parents were like, all right, you're, cut off or whatever. So what does she do? She gets married. Mistake number one. She gets married in 2004 at $1 million wedding to Charlie here, and they divorce after a year because Tori was out shooting something with Dean, who was also married, and they had an affair. And she has no regrets over that. She knew she was in a bad marriage because she had no regrets over that. Allegedly, she married that guy for security and stuff. My guess is that she got butterflies because she said it was like love at first sight with this Dean guy. Y'all, I do not believe in love at first sight. I don't even know this person. Like, what? Given her family dynamics being pretty unhealthy, it kind of makes sense that this exciting Dean guy who was already married gave her that little push to destroy her marriage and attach herself to this loser. If there's one thing I love about Wikipedia, it's that they always use the worst photos for people. This is who this woman, with everything she could ever want, financially at least, that's who she hooked up with. Now, the woman that he cheated on with, his wife, he not only had a child with her, he was in the middle of adopting another child when he had this affair. Men don't just cheat on you when you're pregnant. They also cheat on you when someone else is about to give you a baby. He won't claim that child. He calls it his stepdaughter. Another thing, usually couples that renew their vows, there's something going on. So they have 5 children. Within a year of Tori marrying this man, she has a child. Boom, within a year, and then has 4 more. And by the way, that woman that married Dean had uprooted her life and moved to Los Angeles for it. Remember how I tell y'all don't move for a man? Boom, she got screwed too. Other things about Dean. Look, he's a dirt biker. Remember what I told you about men's dangerous hobbies? He had a second motorcycle accident in 2010, punctured and collapsed lung. And then after welcoming their second son, affair. Y'all, I swear, they all do the same thing. You also know what I say, men will ruin your careers. I'm not saying that Tori doesn't have any role in this. She apparently has a serious debting problem. Seems almost like a serious debt, like almost addiction to spending money. It seems like Dean might be a weaponized incompetence kind of dude. Because she talks about she didn't want to hire nannies because she grew up with nannies. So she was trying to parent on her own with a seemingly worthless father to her children. She ended up in the hospital. This was back when she only had 4 kids. With 4 little ones, everyone's always sick, and being mom, I never take time for myself until I ended up in the hospital. This is a wake-up call to know when mom is down, the ship goes down. It's not necessarily true if you have a partner who does anything. Allegedly, she didn't feel like he was carrying his half when it came to parenting the kids, and that forced her to raise all the children on her own due to his busy schedule. See what I mean when I say that a lot of times men will just keep knocking us up so that they can pursue their career, and we're stuck dealing with these kids that the men won't even parent. And with major hobosexual energy, that she had actually pushed him to secure more roles in order to support their family. It seems like he didn't even make that much money anyway. The reason why I went into this rabbit hole is because this showed up in my timeline. Dean here is in rehab. Not only is he obsessed with having children, he has 7 now. 1 he won't even claim. So him and Tori are getting a divorce. Recently, he said, all Tori's ever done to this day is want me to be happy and healthy. And I've inflicted a lot of damage and pain on that woman. It seems like he's owning up to stuff. No! In that interview, he admitted that he was drinking a 5th of tequila and a handful of prescription meds every night. I'm taking accountability, he says, before then going on and blaming them not sleeping in the same bedroom for his problem. I know these problems, but they got worse because we weren't sleeping together. We were living like roommates. Trying to say this had a toll on his mental health. When you're in a roommate situation and there's no connection or intimacy, what do you expect is going to happen? Never been so lonely in the same house with 6 other people. I was hurting. I was heartbroken. I was depressed. I hated myself. I didn't want to live. Apparently, the only reason why he went to rehab is not his first time. He went to rehab after cheating on her, too. And he learned a lot. And I wouldn't do it again. Shocker. He ended up in rehab again because Tori made him go. They're getting divorced. He is living in a sober living home with 8 other recovering alcoholics. And he's already got a girlfriend. This loser already has a girlfriend and he's living in a sober living facility. Stop dating these men, y'all. What about Tori? Her and 5 kids were staying in a $100 a night motel because marrying Dean pissed off her dad so much that they didn't talk and had really reconciled before he died. And her mom, who's jealous of her daughter, blames Tori for killing him. So out of $600 million estate, Tori got $800,000. Tori's a single mom raising all them.